How we'll start it anyways. So welcome to the JavaScript portfolio site building. Basically, we are going to touch like React, where you will get a template of how the React portfolio looks like. Then we customize it according to your own data. And uh, maybe to share some context of what we will be building later. This is how it looks like, right? It's deployed as well. I will share this link across. We will learn on two deployment types today, which one of it is using Azure and another one is using directly on GitHub pages. Okay, so as the title of the event is called like JavaScript portfolio building on GitHub Codespace. So means that we will build everything in the cloud without having you to like download the codes or um, develop it in your local environment, where we will be building in the cloud itself. So maybe we can go through some slides first. Okay. So yep, the audience or means like more like is there any minimum requirement for you to like understand anything to join this workshop? Is I would say it's barely minimum. Okay. Zero experience is alright as well because we are going to use some templates where of course we can customize it later on, but you will see how it looks like later, right? So oh wait, I forget to introduce myself. So I'm Bendik, or you can call me Kayong. I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Beta level. All right. So thank you for tuning into these workshops. And yeah, what is the framework that we are going to use today is React. It's pretty popular in the market and it's very easy in terms of how you can build a front-end application as well. Okay. So this is one of the sample like portfolio that is built from the Microsoft template, but we are going to customize it. Like you see when I'm showing you the example website, right? I actually change some items, which is very easy to do. I will show you later, right? And yeah, so we will go to this link. I'll send this link across for you guys to get started. I hope everyone here has a GitHub account. If you don't have, you will need to register one since we are going to use like GitHub Codespace. So once you're at this page, right, what I will need you guys to do is click on this, the code here, and click Codespace on main, right? So go to the link that I just shared across in the chat where you can open the Codespace. So it's more like you are running somewhat like a virtual computer that can helps you to build an application because it is hosted with Visual Studio Code available, right? It's a code editor. As you can see, once I click on that, right, it will run VS Code for me. Okay. So yeah, I guess. Oh wait, is that? Oh, okay. This one. This will be better because we are going to deploy later. So just head back to the link. It will looks like something that is running here, but because we will need to deploy later, so it needs to be having an instance on your account itself. So how does it looks like, right? It's actually like this. So once I actually use the template, it will force under my account and I can work with the deployment and the code changes accordingly. So back to the first instruction, just go to the link, okay? Just head to the link and then, oh, I see someone is typing. Just head to the link and go to this, use this template, create a new repository, all right? And for the repository name, if you want to put like resume or my resume, we add resume, right? Something like this. It depends on you, right? So just create it. And once it's done, we open the code space. See somewhere starting. Come late. May I have the link? Oh, cool. This is the link that we are going to do a hands-on today. So just for some context on what we will be learning today is basically developing React application where we customize the data on the template that's provided by Microsoft. And then with that being said, we will deploy it to the web. So how does the solution looks like, right? I actually pasted two deployed links that I done beforehand to ensure that everything is going all right. Yeah, you can actually check out. It will be something like this, right? So it'll be something like this. Right. So once you done with the user template, you create a new repository, you will have something like what I see here, right? And what we will be doing here is to open a code space. So what Codespace do is it will open a virtual computer where Visual Studio Code is your main interface, okay? And you can run code and edit code on the virtual computer itself. You can even like how you develop on your local host, right? You will have local host with the specific ports, but it will be something like this is your local host, and you will see it later because now it's running. So I will explain like how things works when you actually use the template and run it in your GitHub code space, because there are some like configurations files that define how your virtual computer is configured, like as in what's the operating system and what sort that falls under the hood, where it's something good to know, although it's not very relevant to what we'll be learning today, but it's something good to know. So let's give it some time to run, okay? Just in case anyone is facing any issue, you can just raise it in the chat as well, or you can unmute, right? Okay. So yeah, it's still running for my end. It's gonna take some time because the code is a bit lengthy, and also it depends on my network as well. I think my network should be fine. Okay, let's wait for the code space to be ready. Okay, yeah, mine is ready. Okay, I think I will give you guys like a couple 1 or 2 minutes, so like 8:38 or 8:39, we'll proceed. But just for some context on um, how does the code space works, right? You can see there's a .dev container here, right? When you click into the dev container, you will actually see, where is it? This one is more like when you are running your application, the automation, you can see it's actually reading the information here and it run the application itself. Because as you know, if you are doing a Node.js application or like a JavaScript application, you will most likely use npm, which is a node package manager. And in this dev container.json, it writes some comments that should run when your virtual computer is ready, right? npm install, then npm start. You can see it's running an application on my end where I can see it directly. So this is the template that Microsoft gave us for the workshop, and we will customize the items on the application itself. I want to find another thing to show you guys how the virtual computer is being set up. I think it includes in the /dev container. I can't seem to see the Docker file, but normally it will be having certain Docker file that configures like what's the operating system that your virtual computer is running on and some specifications, which if you want to understand deeper how things work, you can look into Docker. It's pretty cool and pretty cool technologies, right? So yeah, this is Docker. So if you want to see like how things work, you can even run this virtual computer locally in your laptop as well. So yeah, Docker is pretty strong, and I would say it's more like an extension on your local computer. Imagine that your storage finished, right? So you can install Docker, where Docker can extend the free storage for you because it's running as a virtual computer, right? You can understand like that, right? And sometimes you can also understand it as a server, which in our case, when you are running the GitHub code space, right, it's basically running a server for us to host the code and run it on the local host port and stuff like that as well. All right. So for the one that just joined, just in case you guys want to follow along or you just want to see the demo, is fine as well. Anyhow, this is where you can go to access the code template. Okay. So once you are here, you just use this template, create a repository on your account where we will learn how to customize this website. It already provided with us with some codes. So that's why it says like it's like no zero experience is needed for this whole workshops, but I will just explain a bit on how React works as well. And of course, we will learn on deployment as well. All right. Okay. So once you have this running, I hope everyone has it running for the one that wanted to follow along. If you need more time, just maybe give me a reaction or raise your hand or type it in the chat. I will give you guys some time to set it up. Okay, I see more people joining in. So this is the link that you guys can follow along, right? If you wanted to follow along the hands-on or you just want to see the demo, it's fine. So, okay, I hope everyone is fine because I didn't see any like raised hand that needs more time and so on. All right, cool. All right, so with that being said, let's begin with our development on the cloud. So let's understand how React works, right? So as a node, or I would say as the JavaScript TypeScript framework, right? You normally will play with package.json, where this is where all the scripting falls in the descriptions of your application, the name of your application, and you know when you are running like npm run start. This is basically the scripts that will run according to your specification. Here is more like a key value because it's a JSON, right? The key value that specify items, and of course on the packages that you install in your application. So by default, the code that's provided, it install React package and also React DOM package, right? So with all of this package, it is more like a software development kit SDK that provide us an environment for us to build a website easily. Like normally, if you wanted to build a basic website, you need to go through like setting up your HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But in React itself, it's more like a JavaScript framework, TypeScript framework. So you will just need to install a, a package where normally it comes with a template, but in our case here, the template is provided by Microsoft and is more like already configured for us. So let's just understand how things work in the hood, right? So index.html, okay, for whoever that doesn't have any web development knowledge, HTML file is a structure to your website. So I would like to like explain this in the context of you understand your website as a human, right? So HTML is basically the skeleton, the structure of your human. And then CSS is the styling, like the skin or like what else? Yeah, I would say skin. Then so it's more like the styling of it. So CSS does that, and JavaScript is more like the behavior. So in our case, you can see this .jsx, right? It's more like a JavaScript file, but it is like a object file. But that is something more detailed. Eventually, you just need to understand HTML is the skeleton of a human, CSS is the skin of the human, and JavaScript is the behavior. Like a human can talk, right? A human can walk, right? So this is how you can understand a website as the basic. So in React itself, you will most likely need to work on like JSX files. As you can see, these are like reusable components that you can import, where app.jsx is your main file, right? And in our case, we only need one file. So this main file, if you understand deeper, right, you can see in this app.jsx, it's getting the header, which is a component, right? And it's getting the home component and the about component, portfolio component, and the footer component. So with this being said, right, let's say if you have another page, you want to use the same header and the footer, you can just use the component that you created here. So that's why framework is much better when it compares to you are building like basic websites. Frameworks makes things easier, right? You can keep on reusing components that you build, and also many more complicated context, but I'll try to explain whatever that falls in the code that we have here. So how does things work here, right? You can see in each of the components, we can actually pass like values into it. So how does the structure here does is we have a variable that calls site props, right? And these site props have your name, your title, your email, GitHub, Instagram, LinkedIn, Medium. Twitter and YouTube, right? So with all of these props that we have, it's going to render accordingly as a variable here into our website. So just to show you how does it work, you guys can follow along as well. So for example, I wanted to change this to my name. I just save this. I guess it's going to take some time. Let me see. It's my website. Yeah, my website is running though. Yeah, you can see now it's rendered according to the variables that I provided. So it's pretty easy, right? So this is also one of the perks of using framework. Okay, you can specify dynamic values to pass into your website. Imagine that you are fetching this from your database. You store it in somewhere, then you want to fetch it to your website. So this is what a framework can do. All right. So without further ado, let's just customize the code according to your own portfolio, right? So for example, I have my name changed, and now I want to put my title. I'm software engineer, and let's say I wanted to put my email, right? Okay, and then your GitHub username, mine is this, and Instagram. So you can put all this accordingly, and then LinkedIn. I will explain why is not a link later, right? Okay, so Twitter. And of course, you have a medium you can place it in. If you don't have, just put it empty. Like for example, if you want to put your Twitter empty, that works as well. Because eventually these links down there, you wouldn't see in the first section because it is actually the variables that falls in the bottom, right? So for example, if I remove this Twitter, and then let's say I don't want to put like YouTube as well, you can see it's rendered accordingly, right? So if you have anything, it's being shown there. So just to show you how things works, right? Now you know that, hey, we can actually edit this and display it here. But how things works in the end. So you can see in our page structure, there's a header, which is this home, about, portfolio, contact. Then on the home, you actually pass in the name and the title. So that's why this section itself is a home. And then this is about section. This is a portfolio section. And then a footer section where we pass in all of the items that we have here, right? So this triple dot is basically destructuring. So what destructuring means is you can understand each of these items as a sub variable inside of your parent variable, right? So you understand site props as the bigger container where when you put a triple dots, you can get each of the apple inside of it, right? So site props is a big container, then name is one of the apple, title is one of the apple. So by having this destructuring, it will pass into the footer. So let's see what does the footer looks like. So the footer, obviously you have division, and how does it render the link? You can see when it passing in the email, it will check whether the email is there. If yes, it will show the email, right? And same to do for the others, right? GitHub, Instagram. So that's why when you actually put it as an empty value here or an empty string here, it wouldn't show it up. So this is how you can do the conditional rendering. Okay, so conditional rendering is more like, let me explain it in a easier terms. It's more like you are running a if else or a for loop or some logical items in your HTML, right? Because normally when you are doing like basic HTML development, you wouldn't be able to do that. So in framework, you can actually do conditional variables. Like for example, my website, I can identify that this person is a customer or is a business person, right? So with that being said, I will render it according to the customer needs, and for the business owner, it will see something different. So this is something that is called conditional rendering, right? So now we have somewhat changed the items that is a main variable to us. And the next thing that we are going to change here is I'm going to show you how we can change the image. Okay, so how does Next, no, not Next, React.js, I have been using Next for quite some time. So yeah, so React.js works is when you are using image, okay, so we need to go down into the deeper context of how things is being structured here. So header, we can see that, hey, it's just navbar. It doesn't have image. So let's say we wanted to change this girl that is smiling here, right? Is basically, you know that you have passing the name and the title here, right? So means that this image itself is actually inside of home as well. So if you want to do some cool tricks like me, right, you can actually click it, or you can go with like control click on Windows. Okay. So when you command click or control click, okay, you can actually hit in directly instead of just clicking it on the sidebar. Or that's another trick is command P or control P to trigger this search bar where you can just search for home and open it accordingly. Okay, this is some cool tricks. All right. So how we add words on image is, if your image is a static file, right, means that you downloaded the file and you want to render to your website, you actually need to import it. But if let's say your image is like a HTTPS, then you wouldn't need to download it, right? You wouldn't need to import it in that sense. Okay, so let's see where is our image. So it's saying like two dots means that going up to the parent directory and find for these images folder and woman with tablet. So this is where our image is in. Okay, so basically it's rendering up to there. And let's say you wanted to change to another image that we want. I will just randomly grab some image. Okay, this is not an image. Let's say is this an image? Nah, it's not. Can I grab something from here? I don't think I can grab something from here. Let me just go to Google Image then. Yeah, give me something. Yeah, for example, I wanted to change like I don't think this is good to have it in a Microsoft event, so let's just get some Microsoft pictures. Right. So for example, let's say I wanted to change it to these pictures. It's pretty easy. You just need to copy image. Okay. It's just like how you copy image and paste it into your code, right? And paste it inside of this images folder. Okay. So once that is done, you can see my image is pasted here. And if you want to rename it, you can do so, but you need to remember the name, right? So for example, I want to put it as banner.png. And then, so the only thing that you need to change here is go back to your home and place it as banner.png. So once that is done, you can see your website actually change accordingly. Let me just refresh it. Yeah. So this is how simple as it is, right? And of course, you can change the alternate text. So what does this ALT means, right? You can see in the image, it has a source where it refers to your images link. And then this is a class name, which is how CSS works in HTML. And then this alternate link is here. So this ALT, right, can actually render it here. Image ALT text. It means when, let's say, your image is not found or your image is having error rendering on your website, it will actually show this ALT text, right? It's alternate text. So I'll just change the alternate text to something relevant. So this is my home banner, right? So yeah, this is something extra that that I included in the process of doing this. But yeah. So other than this image that we are going to change, we are going to change the about us section as well, and also the image that falls in here. You can see there's a small image here, so we are going to change this as well. So let's do it. Right. So as mentioned in our app.js, the first section is the home, right? And the second one is the about. So let's just hit into about, and we can actually see that it is importing an image called motion background.jpg, which is here. Yeah, no, sorry, motion background, yeah, here, right? So what we will be doing, you're just going to get the image that you would like to display there. Yeah, maybe I just put this, just copy this image and let's find for it. Okay, place it here. I'm just lazy to change the name, so I just leave it as it is and hit back to by about and just get this import change. Okay, Just in case anyone is already missing somewhere, I'll head back to the chat to see anyone needs any help. Seems to be good. All right. So, and for the one that just joined, this is the link where you can follow along. You need to clone it or create a new repository on your end. So I'll just show you how does things work, right? So when you are here, use this template, create a new repository, and you just open in Codespace once you are there by clicking this. Okay, this is where I actually clone it as a new repository, and I go to code, change this to Codespace, and open a Codespace. Okay, so if anyone needs any help or you start somewhere, you can let me know in the chat so I can help you accordingly. Anyhow, we are still in the process of changing the items, right? So the first section is already done with the change image. The second is done. I guess the third section, you guys know what to do as well. So you just need to go to the portfolio.jsx, find for the image, and just change it accordingly. Or let's say we don't want to import any image. We just want to use online image, right? So I'll just remove that one. Okay, it will cause some errors because it can't find the variables where it is identified inside of here, right? So just let's say we wanted to just use some online images. So it's pretty easy. You just copy the image address and then go back to here where you can change the src to a string with your link. So once this is done, you will see that I actually have my image render here. Okay. So if you are using static file, you will need to import. Means that if you are using file that you downloaded, you need to import it. If you are using online file, you just need to attach the HTTPS or the HTTP or some FTP links into the SRC. All right. So yeah, we have changed the image, and our last item is I will leave it to you guys on changing the description inside of the about.jsx, and of course changing your skill list that is shown here, because we will deploy this as your portfolio. So I think it's better for you guys to change it accordingly, where I will allow you guys to have like 5 minutes or 7 minutes to change everything. Means that this description, this skills, and this description in the end, where if you are lost like where the items are, right? So in about.jsx, you just need to find for the description, which is actually showing here. So you just need to change this and change the skills and change the detail or code that falls under. Okay, once this is done, you can even change your portfolio. Means that normally what we put in portfolio is like the past projects that you've done. Either you done it in your university as an assignment, or you done it as in your work experience where the website is actually publicly accessible, right? Or you have your own self project, you can actually change it accordingly here, which is in portfolio.jsx, and you need to change the title, description, and the URL accordingly. So that's as easy as it is. All right. So I give you guys like 10 minutes, or yeah, 10 minutes should be sufficient, or maybe 8 minutes, like 9:06 to actually have this done. Then we will work on the deployment, right? So if you have any question or need any help, you can just pin me in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. I'll be here, right? Okay. And also, if you have any questions related to any informations that is in your code, or about Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program, or anything about maybe Azure, GitHub Codespace, I'll try to answer. All right. So yeah, I'll leave like until 9:06 for you guys to customize the website. Because once you've done the customization, we'll deploy it where, as you can see, I actually attached 2 of the links that you guys can see here, right? This is what it calls deploy because it's publicly available. So you can actually use the link that you deployed today to actually show to your peers or show to your interviewer, right? When you're applying for your jobs, you can show this, hey, this is my website where I have my recent portfolios, and what is my title, what is my name, and what is my skill sets about, right? Okay, all right. So I'll give you guys until 9:06 to actually have that done. Once that is done, we will work on the deployment. All right. Okay. And feel free to put any questions in the chat if you have any or you are facing any errors. All right. Okay. Let me see. Is there anything like very important in the slide? I think everything is covered. Yeah, customize app.js home. Yeah, we'll deploy it later. Okay. And I will check on your status on 9:06 whether you are ready to deploy it. Like if you need more time to customize it or something. Because we don't really have a big crowd here, so I guess we can wait for everyone to be ready. Okay. All right. Going to install GitHub Actions. Okay. I hope this workshop is like very beginner friendly. So for anyone that is very new to web development, you can actually kind of understand how things work. If you are like very new, I wouldn't expect you guys to like understand throughout like everything, like how everything works, but you at least know the basics of web development and you at least know how variables works and how dynamic rendering works on React, right? And of course, you will learn deployment, which I think is very important when it comes to your personal skill, because eventually when you can build a website but you can't show it to the public, is I would say it's a loss. So if you can build it and you can deploy it on your own, it will be a competitive advantage when it comes to when you are like getting a job, right? When interviewer is like viewing your portfolios and they can actually see the products that you built without like git clone your code and run it in your local host, right? It's a bit funny for like HR that is non-tech to do that. And if you can show it directly to the interviewer, it will make a big impression, right? Okay. And I would say most of the units they didn't really cover like the deployment skills knowledge. Although sometimes they might cover a very basic one, but it's still better for you guys to explore on your own. And for example, today we explore two types of development, right? Two types of deployment. One is Azure and one is GitHub pages. So I would say this is more like you are opening to more opportunities, right? Yeah, because you know more. So yeah, I'll wait until 9:06, 2 more minutes for you guys to customize your website. And if you need any help, just ping me in the chat. Okay. All right. And one of my advice is for this first picture, right? Actually, this image does not fit well because it has too many colors and I can't really see the words. So it will be better for you guys to find for some images that has a more plain color, so you can actually see your text. I'll just change it to something that has like minimalistic aesthetic, something like this. And just get something like this. Let's copy the image address, change it according to. Change this. Okay. This works. Yeah, it looks better now. Okay, still have 1 minute. Okay. Where we get a recording, yes, yes, yes. For whoever that tune into this call, and just make sure that you are logged in. If you are not logged in, you can just paste your email inside of this chat, so I can send the recording to you guys accordingly. Yeah. Because I think for whoever that actually joined the session, compared to the one that is RSVP but not in the call, you're actually making more effort. So I will just send it across to whoever that joined to the call instead to everyone. Because like today's registration we have like 100 plus, but we only have like 20 in the call. So yeah. Okay, so now it's 9:06 already. Anyone need more time to customize the website before we work on the deployment? If you need more time, you can raise your hand, or you can type in the chat. Or can give me some reaction if you need more time. All right. Seems to be okay. Okay, I assume everyone's ready to, like, your website is ready to deploy. It's ready to show to the public. Okay, right. So without further ado, let's work on the deployment. Yeah, today's workshop wouldn't take very long compared to the previous ones. So just some context on what we will be doing now is, for any changes that you have done in the code, right? We are going to git commit and push it to our branch. So what does all of these magic terms actually says is, basically we wanted to update the version of the code that we have on our repository. Okay, so git commit, git push. So you can understand it like a process, right? So when you done some changes on code, and okay, before going into that, GitHub itself is a version control platform where it will control different version of the code. For example, right, here this is my first version, right? It's called initial commit with this ID, okay? And then if we wanted to renew our code with our changes, we actually need to git add, where it will add it to you can understand it in like add it to the queue, right? So this queue we will actually need to git commit to say like what does this changes is about. So git add, git commit. Then when you explain the changes, you will need to push it. So it means that the changes we wanted to update to our GitHub. So git add, git commit, git push, right? So this is the flow. So now what we will be doing here, okay, I will need you guys to, yeah, just go to this bash where you will see this main or something here, right? So just git add means that it will add git add dot, okay, space dot, where it will add all of the codes that you change here. And let's git commit. Okay, once the changes are in the queue, we are going to explain what is our changes. So like customize with personal information. Okay, so git commit dash m with a string. Okay, I'll just share this across in case there are like people that are very new to git commands. Okay, so git add, then git commit dash m means that dash message. So what is the message that you want to tell about your code changes? Okay, once that is done, we just git push origin main. So what does this mean? Git push is pushing, right? And by default, when you actually run or you clone your code, means git clone is basically pulling your code to somewhere. Where in our case, we actually pull our code to GitHub Codespace for us to edit it, right? And it will have a remote branch. I'll just show you, right? Git remote. So a remote branch basically means that, okay, you have your code running somewhere, right? You are developing it. And where is your target that you wanted to place your code into? Which in our case, it actually specified this as our target. And the target name is called origin. So that's why git push origin, and main is basically a branch, okay? So this is called a branch. And with this being said, right, you can have like multiple branches in one repository. For example, you're working in a team, right? And this is like a login feature. This is logout feature, right? And everyone is doing different things. So when it comes to this, everyone can like push the specific branch, and they can do a pull request to merge it together. Yeah, this is something relevant to Git, but it's not very relevant to what we will be learning today. But I think it's something good to know, right? So when you have all those branches, you can open a pull request to merge the branches and have everything running on main, and main can specify to development CI/CD. So no, deployment CI/CD. So now we are going to learn something about the deployment. Okay, so let's see. The first thing that we are going to use here is called Azure. So what I will need you guys to do, Azure is basically a cloud services that is provided by Microsoft. Okay, and then you need to find for Azure in these multiple blocks here. It's called extension. Okay, just find for Azure. What does it call? Azure CLI2, Azure Static Web Apps. I think it has a name. Yeah, I think you guys can download this whole thing, Azure Tools. Okay. So once you download this, you might need to refresh your items here, but I don't think you need that. But once you download it, you will actually see this on your left sidebar, where you can see there's a sign into Azure, create an Azure account, create an Azure for student account. So let's say if you doesn't have an Azure for students account, you will need to create this. Don't click on the second one because the second one will requires you to actually tie to a credit card, but Azure for students doesn't need it. Okay, so just create that. For my case, I already have it, so I will just sign in. Okay, just allow. I will take a process for me to identify what is the accounts that I want. So I will sign in with my student account. Okay, you can now close it. You can see now I'm signed into my account. Okay. So if you already lost somewhere because you need download extension, everything is okay. You can look back to the recordings and you can set up your Azure account as well. So basically, we will learn two deployments today, right? So this Azure one, I would say is something optional if you wanted to deploy on Azure, because the link itself is something can't really. Please send the recording and PPT for this session as well as this previous one. I'm not sure which event you are specifying, but I will check whether you are in the previous call or something. Okay. As you can see, if you are deploying on Azure Static Web Apps, right, it will be something like you can't really remember, right? But if you deploy it on GitHub, it will be something easier where you already have a GitHub account. So I would say this Azure steps is something optional. If you want to follow, good to go. If you are lost because you don't have an account, you need to create it and you need to get approval, then you can only do the deployment. You can do it after that as well. So I just show you how does things work. So just click on this plus button here, create static web apps. Okay, this extension want to sign in. Sure. So just allow it to sign into my GitHub. Then, okay, you will need to name your application. Okay. And then choose a region. Okay, meaning that you are choosing where your website is hosted, right? And then pick on React because this framework is React. And enter the location of your application code. It should be slash. You don't need to change this, but on this one we need to change it to this. Okay, so once this is done, your application will be created and it will be deployed. So what does the context means when I'm saying like where's your application code? You can see in our application code, right, it's actually in this root, so it's just slash without having into going into any files. But how do you identify that is you need to see where is your package.json. If your package.json is at the root, so it doesn't need to do that. And then what does the second one means is where is your build file. So our build file is actually in this. Okay, so that's why we are specifying this where you can see it actually built us with some compiled JavaScript file for us to work on the deployment. So this is where it falls in. Okay, so that's why you specify two of that, and now it says that my website is deployed. So let's see. Just refresh it. Okay, log in. Let's go to home, static web apps. Yep, resume we add. Is it still running? Oh, yeah, it's ready. Salmon dessert. Okay, your site will be ready soon. So I guess for the Azure end, because they're cloud services, it might take some time. So I'll come back to refresh again. Once that is done, I will send the link across for you guys to see as well. All right. So let's learn the second way of doing it. Right. We are going to deploy to our GitHub pages. As you know, you can actually deploy pages on GitHub. For example, I actually deploy some of that. Mendicli.github.io. Yeah, this is like my very old portfolio, which I don't really like the design. And this is my link tree. Okay, so these are some of the examples that you can do. When you deploy it, it will be something like .github.io, right? So to actually do that, let me just refresh this and see. Okay, yeah, it's already. Let's share it across for you guys to see the website. Okay, and then to actually do the GitHub deployment, let's head back to the package.json, right? We will need to change a couple of things to actually make that possible, right? So when you're here, you can see there are a couple of items that actually shows some placeholder, and of course this homepage will need to change it as well. So for this one, what I will need you guys to do, just head to the repository that you created just now, right? When you actually create a new repository to the template, just copy this whole chunk of link, and we replace the home page. We replace this one here. Okay, you can see the HTTPS repo name. Replace this one, and let me see. Yeah, I think it's just these two. And the command that we are going to run once you change this, right? Of course, you can also change the name of your application. Like this is my Bendic JavaScript portfolio, and then description is Bendic. I just put my name because it's a portfolio, right? So it will be more relevant if you put your name. Then the command that we are going to run is this deploy. So what does deploy runs is, as we recall, right? I actually mentioned like npm install, npm run start just now. So these are the scripts that we actually run. So npm run start, you will run this parser, where this parser command it will triggers like all of this running application and everything. If you want to see like in details how does that works, I think you can see on. Let me just see like parser. What does it called? npm or something. Yeah, you can see this one. So this is the command that actually makes our development possible for this specific website development, where you can see this actually parser bundle. It can bundle your codes and make it into something that is readable by the computer, where in this deploy is actually triggering GitHub pages, and it will find for that directory of this, which is where our build fast falls in. So this parser, right, as I mentioned, it can actually bundle your codes, where when you run this parser, it will actually create this folder that shows the bundled files, where it is more optimized for the computer to read, and it can render something like this. Okay, so this GitHub pages -d is called directory, and find for this folder, meaning that you are telling GitHub pages that, hey, all of my bundled files are available in this folder, and I will need you to make it into a GitHub page. Okay, so let's just run npm run deploy, and this is how easy it is. In just one command, of course, with some scripting that's available here, you have your GitHub pages running in maybe 1 minute. Yeah, it says publish. I just need to wait for it to run here. And you may just see in the settings, find for pages. I think it's still running. It might take some time. Okay, so once it is ready, it will actually show you the link here. I just give it a couple minutes or couple seconds. But anyhow, if you guys need any help or you wanted to ask anything, you can ask in the chat while things are still running. Okay. So yeah, let's see. Is it ready yet? It's not ready yet. It's still running. Okay. This is the Azure Static Web Apps. Yeah, it's still running. You can see here as well. Oh, it's ready. It's ready. So when I click this, I should see. Is it ready? Let me try again. Huh. Let me see again. It's supposed to be running. Maybe I see, is there any errors? Source console. Access to script at index has been blocked due to cause. What does this mean? It doesn't make sense. Let me see. Settings, pages. Mine is having issue. I guess the demo god is not with me today. Okay, let me see. So HTTPS resume. Let me revert some things that someone is unmuted. But let me revert let me mute for a while. Okay. Okay, let me see what's the errors that is happening here. So I changed the home page and I changed this link as well. Oh, my bad. Okay, so we paste this link right just now on the home page. That is correct. We can change this as well. And then this is your application name. And then this is the things that we changed wrongly. It's supposed to be the link where you can actually check your GitHub username. Okay, so in my case, my username is Lai Kai Yong. Where to check that is basically here. You can see this is your username, not the one falls under. Okay, this is your username. You just place it inside of the username here, .github.io, and then the repo name is the repo that you name it here. Okay, so mine is resume react, so I just need to change that, and I will need to deploy again. Okay, so npm run deploy. It should be ready after a few seconds. Let me just see the CI/CD. So just to show you guys some cool stuff, like how does these things work, right? Let me see. Is it running any deployment right now? Or should I go into actions? Yeah. Can see when I click in here, right? It's actually running a build phase, where this is all of the magic, like how deployment works, right? You need to fetch like multiple packages and choose the operating system that you wanted to deploy on, what's the runner image. Then yeah, you can look detail into it. Basically, it's running all of the necessary packages for you to deploy it. And once that is done, it will access to your code, where it will pull all of your code down and run some artifacts. And this is the steps that I would say not commonly has report build status. And then normally the phase will be like having a build and a deploy, that's all. Yeah, but this is basically how you can specify. I'm not sure, do they include any YAML file that talk about how does the process works here. Close pull request. Yeah, it's something like this. Maybe this explains. Okay, this is when I deploy the Azure Static Web Apps, right? You can see here there are two jobs that is specified, build and deploy jobs, and you can specify what is the steps. Which, if you refer here, this is one step called set up jobs. And this another step called deploy to Git pages. And this is the jobs, right? Deploy, build, report, build status. Where in the Azure Static Web Apps here, you can see I specify it as a build and deploy jobs. And the second one is close pull request jobs. And what is the steps that falls behind it? And is there any conditioner on the steps? So yeah, there's more context of how things work. And yeah, you can see my website's already now as well. So I hope you guys have your website running as well. This is basically how things work. Yep, that's basically all about the workshops. So you learn a little bit of glimpse of how React works, and of course, you learn on how to develop items on GitHub Codespace, and maybe a bit about CI/CD and more context about how React mechanism work on conditional rendering, image rendering, and of course on deployment. If you follow along the Azure, or you didn't follow along, you see the demo, you at least know how to deploy in Azure. And of course, GitHub pages. I hope you guys have that running on your end as well. So basically, you can actually show this link to others saying, hey, this is my website, right? So yep, that's basically it for the workshop today. And if you have any question before we end the call at 9:30, you can raise it out in the chat, or you wanted to ask anything related to Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, or anything relevant to the tech stack that we have today, you can pin it in the chat, all right? So yeah, that's basically it for the workshop today. And thank you for tuning in. I will be here until 9:30. So if you guys wanted to leave, you can leave now. And of course, if you have any questions, you can pin it in the chat. All right. So I'll share the recording across to whoever that joined the call. Right. So yeah, that's basically it. Okay. So we still have 3 minutes. Right. No worries. No worries. And we still have another event coming up in this Sunday. Yeah, in this Sunday. Yeah. Recorded lecture. What do you mean by that? Yeah, the call is recorded. Okay. So yeah. If you have any question, feel free to pin in the chat. We still have 3 minutes. Okay. Okay. Hope you learned something out of it. Yeah. I guess there are no questions. Everything is so clear today. Yeah, I think today is pretty easy as well. I don't know. Alright. If there are no any questions that you guys have, I think we can end the call now as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay, seems to be good. Hope you learned something out of it, and see you when I see you. Right. Bye bye. Stop the recording. Yep, no worries.